Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Backstage. This is the Advanced Podcast, and today I have with me Mischief Master Cyle, and we're doing a little something different today. I thought we would hop in the time machine and go blast from the past today.
Dude,
so thinking back to our middle school selves, our high school selves, and what kind of things do you wish people had told you? What advice do you wish you had gotten, or what advice did you ignore that you wish you had not ignored? And so to get this started, what is generally the dumbest thing you did as a child? Young Cyle Cole, anywhere from 0 to 18, birth to graduation.
So I wasn't like a super live on the edge, dangerous, jump out of trees, try to fly kind of guy.
Right.
But I was the kind of guy that would try something without fully developing a plan, okay. I guess. So a couple things I can think of was back in middle school or high school, late 90s, early 2000s, to age myself.
Yep.
For whatever reason, and maybe people still do, but guys started dyeing their hair. Or highlights, right. Especially.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah, right. Yeah, same. So I tried to do it on my own because I was cheap. And it comes with this, I'm going to call it a device, but really it was just like a shower cap.
Yep.
Where you pulled the hairs through like spaghetti noodles.
They like stab you in the head and pull your hair out.
Yeah. And I just lathered it on, but must have like put too much on and it seeped through and like took it off, and I don't remember the time frame. I think there was some time you have to wait apparently for it to kick in.
10 minutes or something?
Yeah, but eventually it kicked in and it was just like leopard spots all over my head. I just remember the fear of going to school more than anything. It was like, how do I face my friends looking like this? How do I face strangers? This is terrible. Like, and I can't shave it because my head has bumps all over it. Like, that's not going to be a good look either.
Did you bleach it all the way to fix it, or did you just ride it out?
So, emergency call to my mom's friend, the barber, and we get there and she cuts it as low as possible, which it helped a little maybe, but I just had to face it. I had to make that walk to the locker and just face my friends. And now it's obviously fine, but it was pretty embarrassing.
It grows out.
Yeah, it grows out. Yeah.
Did you get made fun of, or did you try to play it off? Were you like, nah, I wanted to do this?
No, I just took it. I think it was like, I tried to do it. My buddy had like these golden locks. Shout out to Dana. Had these great locks where he made his hair look good and dyed it. And I tried to do it, didn't. And I think we went along with it. So those were more I had another one. I created this device. So my middle school and high school career was kind of defined by unfortunate hair and poorly timed acne. I would say that kind of explains the sum of my middle school and high school career. And I remember at one point I had a stick with an electric razor attached on the end of it because I started to develop some back hair. And I'm like, oh, this is a real problem for a high schooler to be changing for PE and to have a little bit of back hair. And so I'm in the mirror with this long stick, literally a stick from the woods, and my electric razor flapped open on the back, trying to get like 4 hairs off my back because I probably had to change my shirt at gym or something. And I didn't want anyone to notice my back hair. So things like that seem to pop up at somewhat recent, I didn't cut my back wide open or anything. But
yeah. Oh man, it's amazing. Okay. You've just stirred something up. I didn't even think about this. Because that kind of stuff stems from insecurity.
Oh yeah.
And so I had like dried scalp, like dandruff, when I was in middle school, and I had never heard of anybody else having it, and I was like, and so I was like researching. I was like, how do you get rid? And they were like, vinegar hydrates the skin, and so I would like sneak into the pantry after my parents had gone to sleep. Got some like white distilled vinegar. I would only pour out a little bit at a time, like trying to, but I mean, you do that over the span of 2 weeks, and eventually it's like, we used to have that much, and now there's only like a couple ounces left. And I would like over a cereal bowl would be like dipping my gigantic head into this, and it vinegar. I mean, you become very quickly aware of all of the tiny abrasions on your fingers and stuff because all that acid burns.
It feels rough.
Man, it's amazing. You'll do some dumb stuff for fear of being made fun of from the other people you go to school with.
It's interesting that you were very worried about a dry scalp, but not worried about smelling like a chip. Like it seems like you would have been much more concerned about how your head smelled if somebody got too close to you.
Well,
But
I
maybe
think,
not.
yeah. Well, that I would do the vinegar bath late at night, and then would shower in the morning to try to. But no shampoo can cut through the smell of vinegar.
Yeah, you use that to like clean dirty coins.
Right.
So it's not usually thought of as
on the note of just like dumb stuff that I did, because there's like choosing to be stupid, but then there's also you just didn't know any better. So this was I didn't know any better. I was cooking some like ramen noodles on the stove, and our dishwasher was right here. It was probably in 10th grade ish, and I did the dishes because that was like part of the chore list, and dishes are all in there. Close the thing. I look under the cabinet for the dish detergent, whatever, the yellow jug, and it wasn't there. I was like, huh. All right, I'm going to grab this Dawn dish soap. For those of you listening, I'm going to look directly in the camera. For those of you listening, there's a very big difference between dish detergent and dish soap.
There is.
Because it takes about a dime's worth of dish soap to wash a car, and it takes about 3 ounces of dish detergent to wash a load of dishes. And so I poured probably 3 or 4 ounces into the little dishwasher tub, closed it, start that bad boy cooking, and then I go back to cooking my ramen noodles. I'm boiling, and then I'm just like, what's rubbing on my feet? Why are my feet wet? And I look down, and just suds are just pouring out of the dishwasher from like all angles. It looks like there's just a soap explosion in there. I was like, stop, open it up, and it's just a wall of white. You can't see the dishes. It's just all foamed up soap.
Yeah.
And then I very calmly grabbed the Dawn dish soap, and I just walked. It was dried off my feet. Walked into my mom's room where she was like watching TV. I was like, hey, we're out of dish detergent. Can I use this in the dishwasher? She's like, no, don't do that. I was like, okay, I already did. So
yes.
The next 3 hours was shop back, run it for about 5 minutes, open it up, suck all the suds out. Because there's once it's in there, you can't get it out. Close it, run it for 5 minutes, let it suds up, soak it out. So that was the rest of my Thursday night.
That was it. That was Thursday.
Cleaning out all the suds.
I'm
from
imagining
the
like the wall of bubbles and suds when you open it. Like probably kind of cool. At the same time, you were very anxious, but probably looked really sweet.
It was like just a cube of suds in there because it was all contained, but then it was seeping out the sides. Like when you put too much waffle mix in a waffle maker, how it just kind of oozes out.
Oh yeah.
It was like that, but with soap all over the kitchen floor, because I was like 2 feet in front of it, so it had kind of gone out a fair ways before it hit my feet.
Those dishes are still clean.
Dishes,
I feel like you don't need to wash them ever again.
Those dishes never got dirty again. Well,
that's good.
On a slightly more serious note, so if you think back to your middle school self, not just excusing the dumb stuff that you did. What do you wish, and maybe we can break it up if there are 2 distinct answers that you have. When you were in middle school and when you were in high school, if you right now had a time machine, could hop in and go back and give yourself some advice. You get a little 5-minute one-on-one with 7th grade Cyle.
Yeah.
What advice would you give yourself?
Oh man. So I'm going to take a couple different angles on this.
Okay. Yeah, you got 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So this is a lot of ground you can cover in 5 minutes.
That's true. That is a lot of time. But the first thing I would do is I would say, stay away from amoxicillin. You will break out in hives, and you will be miserable for a couple days. Let's go ahead and skip that phase.
Medicine allergy.
Let's skip that phase. We don't need to do it the hard way. Let's just know we can avoid amoxicillin. So that would be the first one. Second, I would give myself a high five on the little amount of time I spent in the weight room, because I feel like I was supposed to be lifting through playing. I played basketball. I played a little with football, and I always was like, what do I need to lift for? And my friends would be over there working hard and bench pressing like 7,000 pounds, and I can barely lift maybe not even my body weight. And at no point in my life had I been like, man, I wish I would have done those extra squats.
Yep.
I wish I'd have stayed in the gym 2 hours a day, every day. Like, usually if I can't handle something or carry something, I got a good friend to help. And so I'm glad I spent that time on relationships instead of working those dumbbells.
That hits right here, because two of my older brothers were all into, I remember my older brother, he wore that 300 club shirt from when he benched 300. And that was a thing at their high school. And I was like, I'm going to be shredded when I turn 16.
For what?
But for what?
What's it been shredded for?
As long as I came to a point where I was like, if I could get away from danger, we're going to call that good enough.
Yeah.
I don't need to be able to pick up a car.
No.
I don't need to be able to, I'm not trying to impress anybody by lifting stuff.
And based on our bad decisions, most of them, we didn't need to lift a car. I mean,
right.
You had to clean the dishwasher. I was doing my hair. I think we're fine.
Yep.
I don't think that was that important. So those are two interesting ones. One, another like, kudos, maybe it's arrogant, but this is more towards like my parents, is like, be more thankful for them teaching you work ethic. There's been so many times in my life, like I remember as a kid, I would complain like a lot about, man, I gotta go cut firewood on a Saturday morning. All my boys, they're out golfing or getting better at this or that, and I gotta do this or help with that. And man, it was. Man, it would make me upset. But now looking back, like when I'm super busy and like, especially when I hear other people complaining about like, oh, I have so much to do. Like I'm so thankful for being taught how to work hard and appreciate how to work hard. And so
how to hustle.
Yeah, how to hustle.
That grit.
Yeah, that true grit, getting dirt under your fingernails. And so I'm very thankful for that. So I would go back and complain a little less about that, and be thankful that I had the ability to do that and been taught that. So that's something.
I had that same, like my dad was just like we had fun, but when it was work time, my dad was not messing around.
Yeah.
And that was the same thing. At the time, you're like, I want to be playing video games or whatever.
Right.
But now looking back, it's like, that was actually good that he forced me to go out and mow the grass at 7:00 in the morning or go chop firewood or whatever.
Yeah. Another thing I think this would surprise people like that knew me as a middle schooler and a high schooler, but I wish that I would have been more authentic, because I think people thought I was very genuine and authentic, and because why would he be that goofy and strange if he wasn't? But I think I spent so much time over analyzing, over assessing what everybody was thinking about me.
There it is.
And absolutely nobody was probably thinking about me other than me. And I just remember spending so much time thinking about what these people think about me, and should I answer this question because it might be wrong, and like, so just overthinking absolutely everything about me when nobody was thinking about me except for
carefully calculated social, like you're weighing every decision.
Yeah.
Like, if I get it wrong, they're going to think I'm dumb. If I show up dressed up for like Spirit Week, is everybody going for it and I'm going to be in, or is nobody doing it and I'm going to be the weirdo that dressed up for Spirit Week?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, like everything was like that. And I think it's surprising probably to people, because I said a lot of dumb things. So they're probably like, he was never thinking about it. But everything was so calculated, I feel like. And I think what happens, like when you do that, I didn't really ever get it put into context that I really understood till recently, I would say, within the last year or two. But somebody was telling me that if you are not generally who God created you to be, you are robbing God of his creation. Ooh. And it was just putting it in that context was really, honestly, just opened up things to me and like made me feel comfortable in my own skin for the first time as a late 20-something, like just to be, to just truly authentically be who I was created to be, and use my imagination instead of trying to pwn off of other people's imagination.
Yeah. Well, and people's like hearing that, I think the initial thought is people are like, no, but I can't, because I have to craft this image of myself that's like the best version of myself. But if you think about it, and I can even think back to specific people, and I don't even necessarily talk to them anymore. I don't talk to much of anybody that I went to high school anymore. But if you think back to the people that you enjoyed being around the most, it was the people who didn't care what people thought. And not in like a lazy way, and not in like a I don't care what my parents say way, but it was like the people who were just themselves, and they're like, yeah, I like this. Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing that I like it, but I don't care. It's awesome. And like those were the people who were like, yeah, props to him, props to her for being real and not being afraid of what everybody thinks of.
Yeah. And I don't feel like we were probably the only ones that I feel like especially now, like self-identity is just, it's a tough thing to deal with, but I think people need to be encouraged that there was a bigger design for you than what's maybe stuck in your head or what you think others think about you. I wish I could tell every middle schooler and high schooler, and I am telling every middle schooler and high school, because every middle schooler and high schooler watches this, right?
Right, millions of views.
Oh, so perfect. I am speaking to all of you, so hopefully you listened to that part right there. That was really key.
Yeah. So what about on the opposite end of the spectrum? If you went back and got to 12th grade in March now, right about to graduate, Cyle Cole, if you could tell that version of past you something, what piece of advice would you give?
Yeah, that was pretty anxious time, right? Because you're changing. You're not even changing a chapter of your life. It's like a whole new book. You're like closing a book and you're about to start writing another one.
Especially if you're going to college in a town that's not where you grew up.
Yeah.
Or going off to military or wherever. And if it's moving away from everything you've been around for the past 17, 18, 19 years.
Which for me was exactly the case. So I grew up in a town that was, I don't want to get the population number wrong, but I probably will. But something like, it couldn't have been more than like 2,000 or 3,000 people in the town, and my graduating class is like 44 public school, so it's
man.
really small, and that's where I grew up. Same, I'd been born and raised in the same house, and for some reason, for a person that's like mildly introverted, I decided to go to school 7 hours away.
There you go.
And I just did it. And I'm looking back, I'm super glad that I did. Obviously, I met my wife, and those things are great. And I had a career based from going there, but like looking back, I'm like, I can't believe that was the decision I made. Like, I'm surprised I didn't go to just a community school or even not go to school, or
Stay like where you were.
Yeah, so I'm pretty stoked looking back that I made that good decision. I wish if I was telling my 12th grade March, that'd be 2004 self.
2004?
Yeah.
That's when you graduated?
Yeah. If I was giving advice, it would be just continue to pour into relationships, man. I try to do a really good job of appreciating family and friends and where I grew up, and appreciating where I came from, because I think that's important. I'm a pretty loyal person, but I wish I could have done it even more and just poured into people's lives. But I was 17 years old and trying to figure it out, and so. Yeah, that's probably it. Continue to lean towards people, and especially family. Family that since I moved to Charlotte and Indiana for college, it's, you start to lose some of those connections, right?
Yeah. I think you've summed it up well, because it's essentially like, at its core, it's like, just stop being afraid. Like, stop being afraid of failing to impress people, and then stop being afraid that if you pour into people, they're not going to like you for some reason. Yeah. It's like, just go for it.
Like, I can't even think of a time where I was like invested time, or even a conversation where I might have been nervous about like having with somebody. I can't remember a time where the other person was like, why did you just say that to me? Or why are you talking to me about that? Or why did you spend this time with me? Like I can't think of a time where anyone was ever like that. So it should be encouraging to continue to move towards people.
Yeah. And I mean, the other thing too, some people would think of this as like sad. I don't. Because I was like you, I was like hiding a lot of myself in middle school and high school, and I just didn't have a ton of friends. The only person now that I talk to from my high school is my wife, because we went to the same high school. Other than that, nobody, because I didn't pour into any of those relationships in high school. So they just like, and I didn't even leave. I mean, I went to college an hour away, but I still stayed at home. But none of those friendships survived college because I didn't pour into them.
Yeah.
And so it, you know, for some people, they might want that to just be like, that's a blank check. When college life starts, I get to, you know, new batch
Start
of people,
over.
forget all these people.
No.
But on the other side, it's like, you don't have to lose all the relationships you have right now, but you have to be intentional and like pour into them.
For sure. And you may only get that, like that might be your moment, or that might be, more importantly, their moment, right? Is my influence at that time, at that place. That might be the only opportunity I ever get to have influence on that person, or it might be the only opportunity they get to have influence. So it's like, you know, when I look back on that, I had quite a few friends in high school, and still a few that I keep up with, and I'm glad for that. But to think about how I could have expanded it even more is, you know, it's not depressing, but you know, it's just, if I could tell myself, like we talked about, that would be pretty dope.
It's like you wouldn't change it because of like how everything worked out.
Yeah, for sure.
But there is like a thing in the back of your mind where you're like, I wonder what it would have been like.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Man, this has been good.
Yeah,
thanks for sitting down at the table.
Yeah,
this was fun. For everybody watching and listening, make sure you subscribe, share it with your friends, and we will see you next week backstage.